So this is the guy that killed 15 people in New Orleans in the French Quarter on Bourbon Street.
Good evening. I'm Shamsud, property manager with Blue Meadow Properties and team lead at the Midas Group at Core Realty. I just want to say hello.
Shamsud.
So I'm born and raised in Beaumont, Texas, and now live in Houston. And I've been here all my life, with the exception of traveling for the military, where I spent 10 years as a human resources specialist and IT specialist, where I learned the meaning of great service and what it means to be responsive and take everything seriously, dotting I's and crossing T's to make sure that things go off without.
So, in case you didn't hear any of that, he said that he was working with the U.S. Army. He's been working with the U.S. Army for the last 10 years. He said that he was born and raised in Texas. Now, he's going to drive through a barricade. You're going to have some partiers, and he's going to run over a bunch of people. And they said that 35 were injured, 10 were dead earlier in the day, but now they're saying 15 are dead. He had a Ford pickup truck. It was an electric truck, so it was super quiet. There was an ISIS flag that was on the back of the truck. They said they found an ISIS flag inside of the truck. His name is Shamsud. He's 42 years old. After he drove through the crowd of people, there was a shootout with the police. And then after he was shot several times, there was CPR and life-saving measures that were attempted to save him. The videos are horrific and it's graphic, and I'm not going to show any of them. You can see them on X.com. There was mangled bodies on the streets. There was blood. There was chaos. People were scared. 2 officers were injured in the shootout. He had a Texas license plate. He had a handgun and a rifle. And he had some sort of IED, some sort of explosive device on him. They said that there was other IEDs that were nearby. They found other IEDs were found nearby. Now, a lot of people are saying that there's a Sugar Bowl at the Caesar Superdome on Wednesday evening. So that was the same night, January 1st, 2025. So the relatives in Texas said that they were shocked that Shamsud would do something like this, that he was a good man. He's one of the nicest people ever. He loves his family, loves his wife, takes care of his children. Now, he did have that ISIS flag. He was also wearing camouflage. Now, ISIS had overthrown Assad. A guy, Gobani, the guy that overthrew Assad was ex-Al-Qaeda, ex-ISIS. And America and Israel and Turkey were happy with the overthrow of Assad. With this guy, they said that the rental truck that he had crossed the southern border on the Eagle Pass in November. But since it was a rented truck, they don't believe that it was him. They didn't believe that the attacker had crossed the border, that somebody else did. Now, he was an active duty veteran. He was an active duty veteran. How come he didn't have anyone to talk to? How come he didn't have any mental health? Somebody said something about H-1B visas. Somehow he was a victim of H-1B visas since he was an American and he could work in data entry and human resources and IT. Was that intellectual information technology? That he wasn't able to get a good job. He was also super educated. He went to Georgia State University and a whole bunch of other educational programs. He worked at a tech company called Cloud Governance. And here he's saying that he's a property manager for Midas Real Estate Group. So, I'm not sure what to make of any of this. I just want to speak the truth. Before you can render judgment, you got to have objective truth. Before you can get objective justice, you got to have objective truth. Somebody had mentioned something about Iran. I'm not for sure. Something about the videos he posted said that he was inspired by ISIS. So I'm not for sure which ISIS or who ISIS or what about ISIS that he was all inspired about. He was in Texas and he drove all the way to New Orleans to fucking do this shit, you know? He was also American born. Birthright citizenship is the 14th Amendment. Every single American got their American citizenship by being born on this soil. So this is an American who got radicalized. This was an American who fought in the armed forces. This was an American who fought in tech companies, cloud governance, who was part of the real estate group Midas. He was a property manager. Went to Georgia State University. So he was educated in America. He worked in America. He was part of the U.S. Army Reserve. He saw active duty. So clearly, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not plow people over with a truck. A similar thing had happened in JCPenney, I think 2 JCPenney's in California. There was that thing that had happened in Germany. And sometimes people are frustrated and they just, there was that woman who was trying to go to work or something and she just ran over a bunch of protesters and people were saying that shit was okay. But clearly, driving over people is wrong and despicable and disgusting and revolting, and it's fucking awful. Does this have anything to do with immigration? It has nothing to do with our immigration policies. Because he was born here. He was born and raised here. And so who knows what inspired him when it came to ISIS? When it comes to the genocide in Palestine, well, Americans have clearly thought, especially Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they thought it was okay to watch 300,000 people, mostly women and children, to get killed over and over again. And if you can't draw a red line saying a mass murder of children, genocide is a bad thing, do you have a red line? Where is your red line? Is that what this has to do with? Does this have to do with Palestine? Does it have to do with Iraq? Does it have to do with Bin Laden, Al-Qaeda? What about ISIS? Because ultimately, I want to get to the why. Why did he do this? He was inspired by ISIS, okay? So then, why does ISIS hate us so much? They hate us for our freedoms? Come on, let's grow the fuck up. If ISIS is pissed off about what we're doing in Palestine, well, I'm pissed off about what we're doing in Palestine. I think it's good to defend Ukraine. I think it's good to support NATO. If we pull out of Ukraine, then that might see a collapse of Europe and all the countries of the world. We might have to redraw the entire world map because of Ukraine. But a lot of times we aren't defending people because they need defending. Sometimes we'll support a colonial project that was created in 1948. And we haven't given the Palestinian people citizenship. We haven't tried to get them to register to vote. We haven't done a one-state solution where we adopt them and accept them. Harry Truman says that when you get 3 million people living in an area and you move 3 people in, well, that's going to piss some people off. Well, yeah, I'm sure it does, Harry Truman. I bet you the 3 million people who still live there, they'll be pissed off that you just try to move 3 million people on top of them. And so that bullshit's been happening over and over again. And they want to say that this shit is biblical. Well, that was the Old Testament. Jesus says that the Sadducees and the Pharisees, they did wrong. Kings, they said that Israel did wrong over and over again in the eyes of the Lord. And what did Jesus say? Jesus said you treat others the way you want to be treated. So, if you think it's wrong to go around running over people that are just having a good time on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, well then clearly 300,000 people would be even worse than 15 dead. So I'm not trying to justify it. I am saying that with the Palestinians, if you don't have a thin red line, then has America lost their soul? If America has lost our soul, then I think we can only expect this shit to keep on happening. We're going to allow Israel to suck us into a World War III. And why do we need Israel? We give them universal health care. As soon as we stop being their sugar daddy, then they wouldn't be able to do a damn thing. As soon as we cut off their arms and money, as soon as we cut off the arms, the weapons, and the guns, and the tanks, and the money that we give them, and the United Nations umbrella that we give them, maybe that'll stop them, maybe it won't stop them. But I know if that we just keep on financing evil, they keep doing evil, they keep doing genocide, they keep on fucking killing children. I see kids are freezing to death. I saw a mother who had her 3-year-old toddler freeze to death in her arm. I see a bunch of people that are cold right now. It's freezing temperatures there now. They're living in tents. Israel's bombing hospitals and schools, and they're digging up streets, and they're stealing the fucking land. They've been stealing the land the whole time. And so what are the Palestinians supposed to do? Just drown? Just commit mass suicide? Go live in another country that they've never lived in before? You either do a two-state solution or a one-state solution. You live in peace side by side, or you integrate them and you register them to vote. And then you have an election. Those are the two civil solutions. And then with Syria, well, ISIS just overthrew Assad. How come America and Israel and Turkey is happy that ISIS overthrew Assad? Don't we have a war on terror? Wasn't the authorization to use military force right after 9/11? That was supposed to go after Saudi Arabia and Al-Qaeda. Why would we be happy about overthrow of Assad if it's Al-Qaeda, ex-ISIS? That Gobani is ex-Al-Qaeda, ex-ISIS. Because he says he isn't ISIS no more, he isn't Al-Qaeda no more. Maybe you're in between a rock and a hard place. I don't think it's a great thing to celebrate, to say, well, okay, this one shitty thing happened, but now we got another shitty situation. We need to be told the truth. When it comes to the corporate media, if it bleeds, it leads. They'll splash this on the front pages, they'll talk about it on broadcast news, and then they'll make sure they run their advertisements. Because ultimately, they're trying to get your eyeballs. They're trying to get big eyeball onto their stuff so that way they can sell to their advertisers that they are effective at getting their advertisements seen and they can make some money, because media is a business. But ultimately, justice is eye for an eye. The guy has been shot and killed. And I don't know who else you could point to. If he's a self-made man and he made his money through the army, then it seems like this is just a terrible fucking thing that happened. And terrible shit can fucking happen, and who knows who you could blame. Maybe you could try to blame the army or something, or try to blame somebody else. But ultimately, this is the guy that did it, and this is the guy that got shot and killed for it. When it came to Aaron Bushnell, he didn't like what we were doing in Palestine, and he set himself on fire. You could petition the First Amendment. The Constitution says that you could peacefully assemble, and you could petition, you could use the press, and you could use speech. We got a whole Bill of Rights. And as long as we stay civil and stay constitutional, then I think we'll be all right. But we got a president right now that's saying fuck the Constitution, and he's going to get rid of birthright citizenship, which is the 14th Amendment, and he's going to stay in there for 3 terms, which breaks the 22nd Amendment. I think reverting back to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, understanding who we are as Americans, because our freedoms is the law. Thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not rape, thou shalt not assault, thou shalt not steal. But thou shalt petition, thou shalt peacefully assemble, thou shalt speech. So, RIP to all those who died, and, thoughts and prayers to all the people that were unfortunate victims of a person like this. People lose their fucking heads. People lose their fucking minds. People do dumb shit. We don't know why. We don't know what set him off. Did he lose his job? And if he released some videos that had said exactly who he was and what he was about, then I think that's his motive. And the motive matters if we want to prevent this shit from happening again. If you think mass murdering a bunch of children is wrong, if you think running people over, 15 people over and killing them is wrong, if you think murdering 300,000 children is wrong, then we could stop both of those things by stopping the genocide. Both of those things could stop by stopping the genocide if that's what he was inspired by. Maybe he's inspired by Iraq or Syria or something. Maybe he's inspired by Pakistan. I don't know. I'm not for sure what ISIS is about. I don't know what their manifesto is. I don't think they believe in the Constitution or Bill of Rights. So that's the guy who did it. That's the truth of the matter. Shamsud din Jabber. The only thing you could say about the H-1B visas is maybe there would have been more opportunities for him if we hadn't been given H-1B visas out. Or maybe not. I mean, you can't say for sure. Did he apply for a job that went to an H-1B visa hire? And when it comes to immigrants, hating all the immigration, I think it's a good thing to allow the smart technological people in. Because we want productive citizens. We want to be smart. We want to stay competitive around the world. So what would inspire a good man, one of the nicest people out there who takes care of his family? What would inspire a good person to do terrible things? There's a lot of things that could inspire a good person to do terrible things. I see crazy behavior happening in America all the time. So thou shalt not murder. This guy's a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit for what he did. If he's an American, he could have ran for Congress. If he's an American, he could have, been a police officer. He could have ran for city council. He could have petitioned. He could have peacefully assembled. He could have started his own journalism thing. He could have spoke out about this. He had other options. And that's all I'm going to say about that.